A narcissist usually thinks the empath will never fight back. She will explain. She will forgive. She will keep bleeding and call it love. Sounds impossible, right? But here's what shocked me. The moment an empath becomes truly fed up, she can become psychologically untouchable in a way the narcissist never saw coming. And this is not about revenge. It is about integration. Carl Jung believed that what stays unconscious controls us. So if your kindness has been unconscious, your anger has been buried, and your boundaries have been missing, then the day all of that wakes up changes everything. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal can help you stop being emotionally hunted and start becoming someone no manipulator can easily read again. If you've ever wondered why narcissists seem so confident around deeply sensitive people, the answer is painfully simple. They confuse empathy with weakness. They see your patience and think you have no edge. They see your compassion and assume you have no limits. They see your tendency to understand everyone and think, perfect, this person will keep giving. Seriously speaking, this is why so many empaths get trapped for years. Not because they are foolish, not because they are broken, but because they lead with their light before they understand their shadow. Jung's whole framework turns on this idea. The shadow is the part of you that gets rejected, buried, or disowned. For many empaths, that shadow includes anger, aggression, selfishness, authority, and the ability to say no without a 5-page apology. And yes, some of you apologize to furniture after bumping into it. I say that with love. The reality is, when those traits stay unconscious, they do not disappear. They simply remain unavailable when you need them most. So the narcissist walks in. He tests, he pushes, he withholds, he charms, he confuses. And because you are trying to preserve connection, you keep overriding your own signals. Your body says, this feels wrong. Your intuition says, something is off. Your nervous system says, please leave. And your conditioning says, maybe I'm being too sensitive. Did you know that trauma research shows people with relational wounds often become hyper-attuned to others while becoming disconnected from themselves? That matters here, because many empaths are not only sensitive, they are adapted. They learned early that safety came from reading moods, softening conflict, and staying emotionally useful. That skill can look beautiful. It can also become a survival strategy that narcissistic personalities exploit almost immediately. But here's what most people completely miss. The empath's danger does not appear at the beginning. It appears at the end. It shows up when the empath stops negotiating with reality. Now here's where it gets interesting. A fed-up empath is not dangerous because she becomes cruel. She is dangerous because she becomes clear. That clarity is terrifying to a narcissist. Why is that? Because narcissistic control depends on confusion. It feeds on mixed signals, guilt loops, self-doubt, and emotional fog. If they can keep you explaining, defending, proving, waiting, and questioning yourself, they stay in power. But the moment clarity arrives, the whole game starts collapsing. Suddenly, you stop asking, what if I misunderstood? You start asking, why did I betray myself for so long? Suddenly, you stop chasing closure. You recognize the pattern is the closure. Suddenly, their charm looks rehearsed. Their victim story sounds familiar. Their apologies feel strategically timed. And their silence no longer feels mysterious. It feels manipulative. This is crazy. To a narcissist, your emotional availability was the entry point, but your self-awareness becomes the locked door. I've mentioned this before, but Jung did not believe healing meant becoming sweeter and sweeter until everyone approved of you. He believed in wholeness. Wholeness includes tenderness. It also includes ferocity. Wholeness includes compassion. It also includes discernment. If you only identify with being the good one, then your psyche becomes lopsided, and lopsided people are easier to control. That is why the fed-up empath often shocks everyone around her. She does not look loud. She does not always look dramatic. Sometimes she just gets very, very calm. And that calm, for manipulators, it is more threatening than screaming. Because screaming can be used against you. Calm cannot. A fed-up empath might say one sentence, like, "I'm done participating in this pattern." And somehow that lands harder than 100 arguments. Why? Because there is no emotional food in it. No pleading, no bargaining, no leaking wounds all over the floor while the other person studies them like a map. Just truth. And because of that, something even deeper becomes everything. The most dangerous shift is not what the empath says to the narcissist. It is what she stops saying to herself. She stops saying, maybe if I love harder, they'll change. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe this is my fault. Maybe my sensitivity is the problem. Instead, she starts saying, my sensitivity gave me data. My exhaustion was information. My resentment was a signal. My anger is not evil, it is protective. That last part is extremely important. Jung understood that anger has a function. Healthy aggression helps the psyche defend its borders. Without it, your empathy becomes an open house with no locks, no walls, and apparently a welcome mat for chaos. And nobody wants that, not even your houseplants. You might be wondering, does this mean every empath should become cold and hard? No, that would just be another imbalance. The goal is not to become narcissistic. The goal is to stop being unconsciously available for exploitation. There is a massive difference. A narcissist says, I matter and you don't. An integrated empath says, you matter and I do too. A wounded empath says, you matter and I'll disappear. Can you feel the difference? That is the real turning point. But the surprise is, this transformation often begins with grief, not power. Before the fed-up empath becomes solid, she usually becomes heartbroken. She grieves the fantasy. She grieves the person she hoped they were. She grieves the years she spent performing emotional labor for someone committed to misunderstanding her. She grieves the version of herself who thought being needed was the same as being loved. That grief is sacred. Seriously speaking, do not rush past it. Because if you skip grief, you often return to the same pattern wearing a different face. New name, same wound. Different hairstyle, same disaster. What I kept coming back to through all of that was this. The fed-up empath is dangerous because she finally sees the link between shadow work and boundaries. And this is why so many healing journeys stall. People talk about boundaries like they are just communication skills. Say no politely. Leave earlier. Block the number. Yes, those tools matter, but Jung would push us deeper. A boundary is not just behavior, it is identity. If your unconscious identity is I am the one who absorbs pain, then no script will save you for long. You will keep finding ways to reopen the door. But if your identity becomes I honor what I feel, I trust what I see, and I protect what is sacred in me, then your entire relational field changes. That's not mystical, that's psychological. You stop radiating over-availability. You stop over-explaining. You stop auditioning for basic respect. You stop translating your pain into language the other person can comfortably ignore. And yes, that can make people very uncomfortable, especially people who benefited from the old you. Now, not only that, it gets even better. When the empath integrates her shadow, her intuition becomes sharper. Before integration, intuition gets tangled with fear, hope, projection, and trauma bonding. You may sense something is wrong, but then explain it away. You may detect a lie, but then feel guilty for noticing. You may see the red flag, but call it a misunderstanding because you want peace. After integration, intuition gets cleaner. Why? Because you are no longer filtering every signal through the need to stay connected at any cost. This is where neuroscience and depth psychology actually meet in a powerful way. When your nervous system is chronically dysregulated, you misread threat, minimize threat, or freeze around threat. But when you regulate and reconnect with the disowned parts of yourself, perception improves. You become harder to gaslight because you trust your own internal evidence. That is the part narcissists never imagine. They imagine your breaking point will make you collapse. Sometimes it does for a season. But if healing is real, your breaking point becomes your initiation. You stop being endlessly accommodating. You become discerning. You stop trying to rescue wounded egos. You start rescuing your own life. You stop asking, how can I get them to understand me? You start asking, why am I explaining myself to someone committed to distortion? That question alone can change everything. And because of that, one final piece becomes impossible to ignore. A fed-up empath often scares people, not because she becomes mean, but because she becomes impossible to manipulate with guilt. That is a completely different level of freedom. Guilt used to pull you back in. Now you examine it. Shame used to silence you. Now you question where it came from. Idealization used to seduce you. Now you slow down. Crises used to hook your rescuer instinct. Now you ask, is this actually mine to carry? As I've said, this is what individuation looks like in real life, not a perfect spiritual glow, not endless softness, not being endlessly available because you want to be good. It looks like becoming whole enough to hold love and power at the same time. And that is why the fed-up empath is more dangerous than the narcissist ever imagined. Not because she destroys, because she no longer volunteers for destruction. So what's the bottom line? A narcissist expects your empathy. They do not expect your clarity. They do not expect your shadow. And they definitely do not expect the moment you stop abandoning yourself. Remember that. Your anger can protect you, your grief can wake you up, and your boundaries can become the architecture of a completely new life. I'd really love to know this. What was the moment you realized your kindness was being used against you? If this spoke to you, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next step in your individuation journey. Take care of your depth. I'll